In 1975, a guy took a very mundane object and over the span of 6 months turned that into about 15 million bucks. We're going to talk about who that was, why it matters, how you might be able to do the exact same thing right here today on Index Card Insights. Let's get into it. So who am I talking about? First of all, before I get into that, make sure you get over to epicconversions.com. Check out my website. That's where I keep everything over there, right? That's the central hub for my business, epicconversions.com. I got a new product coming out Friday. It's called USP USuper. It's all about how to create and craft killer USPs. You're going to love it. It's awesome. It's going to go on sale Friday. Going to be on sale for 4 days, and then the price is going to go up. So make sure you get it while it's on sale. You can find it over at epicconversions.com. That link will be there, but it'll be live Friday. Okay, so who am I talking about? Who in 1975 made 15 million bucks in the course of about 6 months? I'm talking about Gary Dahl. Gary Dahl in 1975, he took the basic rock and he said, you know what? I'm going to reposition this rock. I'm going to call it a pet rock. I want to give you a few numbers on this situation. I want to tell you, in my view, why this worked. Because Gary Dahl and the pet rock is really, it's one of the ultimate examples of finding a great USP that works. So what did he do? So we're talking about 15 million bucks over the course of 6 months. It was a fad, right? 1.5 million sold in that span of time. 1.5 million. Gary Dahl got 1.5 million people to buy a pet rock, okay? It was the same kind of rock they could go find in their driveway. How did he do it? Well, first of all, let me give you a few more details, all right? He sold them for $3.95 today. And you might think, oh, well, that's trivial. That's nothing. But this was 1975. Today, that's about $22.44, right? So people were paying $22.44 for a pet rock. The other thing I would say is the 15 million that he made over the course of 6 months was in 1975. You got to times that by about 5 today for inflation. So really we're talking about $100 million today. By today's standards, this would be the equivalent of you going out, picking up some rocks, selling like 1.5 million of them to the tune of about $100 million in 6 months. It was a big deal. He sold, like I said, $3.95. That's about $22.44 today. What else? Okay, so let me give you some of the unique selling proposition that he put out there for people. Rocks don't need grooming. They don't require visits to the vet. They don't eat. They never get sick. And best of all, they never die, right? This was the kind of like the selling proposition that he put out there for people. What did he do? When it comes to USPs, what he did was he focused on the why, right? He focused on the why, and the why in this case is like, why is this a pet? What is the reasoning behind this? Why should I buy this as a pet, right? The unique selling proposition was aimed at parents who had kids who wanted a pet, right? And the parents thought, oh, wait a minute, I'll get them a pet rock. That way I don't have to worry about, cleaning up the poop and all the responsibilities that come with a pet, right? It was aimed at parents to buy for their kids. Think about it. Rocks don't need grooming. Who cares about, this is all stuff parents care about, right? When their kids are asking for dogs or cats or whatever. So the unique selling proposition for this pet rock was squarely aimed at parents. Now what happened was, it wasn't just parents who bought this thing. It was a lot of people because it turned into a fad. It caught on, and the sheep take hold of it, and everyone's buying it because everyone else is buying it because they think it's cool. That's it. There's no other reason. But it started out being positioned to parents, right? Now without that original positioning, it would have never caught on. But the thing about it that's really interesting to me is that, first of all, this dude was bold enough to say, hey, you know what? Let me take a rock, let me put a little straw in a box, Let me put this little funny instruction manual with it because he did. You can actually find the instruction manual for the Pet Rock over on archive.org. If you go over there, you can find the Pet Rock, the original Pet Rock instruction manual, and it's funny if you read it. It's a quick 5-minute read. It's funny. It's very it's just a funny little book, but it goes with the Pet Rock, and so that's what you got for your $3.95, which is about $20 today, right? That's what you got. You got a rock in a box. It had a little straw nest in there, and it had this little instructional booklet that came with it. And the instructional booklet was kind of funny. Anyways, the dude made he made over 15 million bucks back in 1975. He was a millionaire within 6 months. 6 months it took him to become a millionaire. Now, how many of you out there have been struggling to reach the financial level you want to reach for years and years and years? Gary Dahl did in 6 months. He went from being just like a pencil pushing nobody, and I could go into his story, but I'm not going to do that here. It doesn't matter. The point is he went from just being a normal guy to being a multimillionaire in the span of 6 months. Why? It was the USP, very, very simply, right? He's the ultimate example of taking something that already exists. It's not a unique product. It already existed before you came along. It's completely mundane, right? I mean, the guy might as well have took a chair, or he might as well have took a tree branch, a tree limb, or he might as well took a couple great blades of grass. He could have took anything. I mean, the rock is so mundane. This is the ultimate example of taking a mundane object that plenty of people already know what it is. Everybody knows what a rock is. Everybody knows what it is. It's completely mundane. It doesn't matter. People don't think about it that much. Then all of a sudden, he positions it in a special way that puts it at the heart of everyone's mind for 6 months. And he walked away a millionaire, right? It's the ultimate example of unique selling proposition, right? I could tell you about more people. Maybe tomorrow I'll be back and I'll tell you about another one. But I just think, when you think about this idea of the USP, it's something that kind of freezes people in their tracks. They come to it they want to make a product. They want to put something out there to sell online, but they hit this roadblock of USP. They can't figure out what is unique about my product that nobody else has. What's the unique thing, right? And what I'll tell you is sometimes, you can approach this and I talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot in USP Usuper. USP Usuper is a 14 email newsletter, okay? 14 email newsletter, you get PLR rights when you pick it up. But I talk about this exact subject in there. And it's this idea that, there doesn't have to be anything unique about what you're selling, right? Sometimes it's just about positioning, right? And when it comes to the Pet Rock and when it comes to Gary Dahl, it was the why, right? He focused on the why. He couldn't focus on the what, right? What he had was a rock. He had to focus on the why. And what he focused on was showing people why they were looking at this rock the wrong way. They were looking at it the wrong way. He was courageous enough and brave enough and bold enough and audacious enough to say, you know what, it's not a rock, it's a pet rock. It's a pet rock. What did people think back in 1975? They thought it was funny, they thought it was goofy, they thought it was dumb, but they thought, hey, you know what, the parents thought, hey, you know what, this just might work. Let me get this for my kids. Some of them probably thought it was a little bit of a gag, supposed to be a little funny, a little tongue-in-cheek. Gary Dahl rode that tongue-in-cheek funniness to a cool 15 million over the span of 6 months, right? That's $100 million bucks. So I just think it's just one example. It's a fantastic example of how, whatever your product is, you have no excuse not to have a unique selling proposition. The best one that you can think of. You got to be able to find some way to make your thing stand out, to make it different than everything else that's out there. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Again, we talk about that in USP Usuper. If you want that, it comes out Friday. It's going to be available on my website, epicconversions.com. Put a little heart, favorite my website. You'll be able to find it Friday. I'll put more videos out about it between here and then. But yeah, man, USP, it's a lot of times it's a difference. Most times, almost all the time, it's the difference between selling a lot and selling a very little. Also, another thing I'll say about USP, and maybe this deserves its own podcast, but another thing I'll say about USP, if you're an affiliate marketer out there and you're not trying to sell your own podcasts, but you're not trying to sell your own products, not your own podcasts, although you could sell a podcast. I've actually sold a podcast before, so you can sell a podcast. But if you're a affiliate marketer out there and you're not trying to sell your own products, but you're trying to sell other people's products, understanding USPs matter for you as well. And the reason why is because you need to be able to identify what the USP of the product you're selling is, right? And is that USP being conveyed properly on the sales page? Because a lot of times when you have a product that does have a unique selling proposition, but it's not being conveyed properly on the sales page, you're going to notice that there is a decrease in conversion percentage, right? The conversion rates are going to be pretty low on that sales page. Why? Because there's a disconnect. What you see is a great product, but on the sales page, that great product's not being represented properly. So what happens is you have a lower conversion rate. Well, if you understand USPs and you know that you can convey that USP a little bit better in your promotions, then the sales page is going to become more irrelevant and you're still going to be able to get sales even when other affiliate marketers can't get sales, right? So this matters, and I've done it 1,000 times as an affiliate marketer. But you have to be able to identify what that USP is and identify if it's being, conveyed properly on the sales page. So this kind of knowledge is basically going to make you a better affiliate marketer. It's going to help you get more sales. So anyways, USPs are important. They matter. Gary Dahl turned into a millionaire in 6 months, all based off the concept of USP. It's amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and I hope to see you on Friday when I put out USP Usper. I'll see you guys. Peace now.